Hey guys, what's up? I really wish I had the rights to play some South Florida music right now. I really wish I could play some. You know the songs I'm thinking about. When I say South Florida, you know what songs I'm thinking about, right? Um, I had a pleasure talking to Kyrah, and uh, one of the things I got out of the conversation is about how important education is and where you receive this education. Now, there's a debate, right? About it doesn't matter what school you went to in architecture, it's all about how you perform. Right? When you go and you send out your resume, it's not so much a resume as much as it is your portfolio. Can you do the work? We don't care what school you go to. We just want to know if you can do the work. And I think that's a bunch of malarkey. Education is extremely important. And even in like non-architectural sense, but just in general sense about the public education of this country, when counties or parishes or whatever do the redistricting of like the school system, it's like an uproar because you don't want your kid to go to that school for whatever reason. So education is political. So why do we not consider education in the architectural world political? And we didn't go down this route, but in me re-listening to the conversation, it got me thinking about Kyrah's education because throughout the theme of, if you listen to the previous podcast, how my own personal experience with education, especially in education in architecture, and how I bounced from school to school, and the debate of historically Black universities, colleges and universities, it shapes who you are, and it shapes how you interact, and it is really rooted in what you're going to do with the rest of your life. So going back to Kyrah, she started off going to majoring in architectural engineering. So she was more towards the engineering side. She was in NSBE, that's the National Society of Black Engineers, and she loved it. But when she went over to the architecture world, when she started doing her master's, that's when her life changed. And that's why, because of that, America's Hidden Gems was created, because she didn't see anybody that looked like her. Now, if she went to a historically Black college or university, Black people always, everywhere, right? Like, or at least a diverse faculty, a more diverse student body. You have a whole plethora of other nationalities that go to historically Black schools, or in particular, we're talking about architecture school. So, and I know with me and how I ended up going to a Black school, how that encouraged me to continue doing what I'm doing, or at least allowed me to get my degree without biases or anything. So we also talked about South Florida a little bit, how she grew up, and she has another charity too, which she will elaborate on. But it was a good conversation. I'm glad that that she made time for me. It was truly a privilege to talk to her. So anyways, here you go. So your name is Kyrah, right?
Kyrah.
Kyrah. Okay. Hey, so Kyrah, let me tell you how I'm like sitting there living life, minding my own business, and a friend of mine was like, "Have you seen this America's Hidden Gem?" I was like, "No," and I went on your Instagram page. I was like, oh, "Why have I not discovered this before?" And then I was like, "I have to talk to you." I was like, "I have to talk to her. Like, what? How did she come up with this? Who is she about? Like, I need to know your life story, basically."
Oh, I don't have a problem sharing that. So this is
So, okay, so let's start off. Like, how did you get into architecture?
well, I always wanted to do architecture, but Actually, let me rephrase that. I don't really know because the more I think about it, when I sat down with my mom back in high school, it was always okay. I wanted to be an artist, to be honest. So my mom was like, no, no, let's actually use your skills. So I actually really love doing calculus and physics, and I still managed like a way to keep art. So we came up with architectural engineering. So while I was in my like undergraduate, pursuit, it became like, okay, we have a touch of architectural history courses, a touch of design, but I didn't really get to design buildings. So after discussing with my mom, I went ahead and decided to get my master's in architecture. So I bridged my engineering and my architecture background, and here I am today. So
Okay.
that's that's really how it is.
So are you from Florida? You were
Yeah,
born there? Okay.
I am. I am a South Florida resident, native, born and raised. Haven't left.
How about your folks? Both are from South Florida too?
No, my mom, yes, she's born and raised here, and my father, he was born in Detroit, and he moved down here when he decided to go to college.
Okay. And they met up like in college
Yes.
or and then some way somehow you were born.
Yeah.
Um so how was University of Miami? How was that life?
I personally, my experience was different from other people. I love my school. I'm still active. Um, but in terms of social life, I didn't enjoy it. I had some issues with a sorority that I joined, but aside from that, it was really the turning point for my life because I went from like making straight A's and not necessarily having to study and then having to acclimate myself and transition into basically being my own person on campus and going to classes, going to office hours, just to make sure I understood the material. Um, so it was, to me, that was a very transitional growing period for me. And in hindsight, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I really, it made me who I am today.
Mhm.
I enjoyed my time at UM. Of course, there's always knickknacks at any school, but I enjoyed it for the most part. So engineering wise, I loved it. I enjoyed it. Architecture, I think that was, I don't want to say my breaking point, but I don't I remember specifically coming home crying like my first week, telling my mom, I don't know if this is for me. Even though it's like I love the design aspect, like I love everything about it, but I was like, I don't know if this is for me. And she's just like, well, you know this is for you. You applied, and you don't let your obstacles stand in your way. So to me, going from engineering where I was one of seven who graduated to being the only one in my class and one of two in the entire graduate program,
It was a
that's like,
culture shock, you would say?
I feel like it was, because in my opinion, like for engineering, it was very welcoming, in a sense of I had other people who looked like me in my class. Like we were all together, for our general classes, freshman year and sophomore year. And then once we started, I guess, getting on track for junior and senior year, I had at least one person that I could identify with. Now, no, I didn't have professors that looked like me. So I mean, I digested that. That's what you're going to get at a predominantly white institution. You're not going to always have professors that look like you. I always had someone that I could talk to, that I could relate to, that I was able to have those conversations with. Whereas when I literally, because the engineering and the architecture school are apart from each other, the moment I literally crossed the bridge over to architecture, that's where I don't want to say how can I say this? I started seeing my race or my color or my culture more prevalent because I was the one that was, I was the only one that could identify with it. So coming from engineering, I understood, hey, yeah, there's Black engineers. And then coming into a totally different environment where you're like, wow, there's not many Black architects. And I can't even name one except my one professor who decided to leave the year that I started my program. So it was very much so a culture shock.
So all what you it was a 2-year program or
Yes. So
yeah.
engineering 4 years, and I got my master's in 2 years.
So those 2 years you were like the only one?
Yes. In
Wow.
my in my in my program. So if I'm not mistaken, has 3 or 5 graduate architectural programs. It could be 10. I don't know. But out of those 2 years, I was the only one in my program. And there was one other gentleman who I became friends with, and he was the only one in his. So we were the only two in the entire graduate program. He was getting his master's as well, but we were in two different programs. It was just us two those entire 2 years.
And this was like back in 2016, right?
Right.
So it's not like 1992.
Right.
For me, I had a similar experience. I school for me was very difficult. The first school I went, I only went for a year before I transferred. And it wasn't the fact that there were other minorities in my class, in my freshman class. That helped, but it was the campus. So I'm in DC, right? Chocolate
Mhm.
City back then. And the campus was basically, I would describe it as like a black sheet with a white dot. So as soon as I crossed over into that white dot, I was in that white dot.
Mm.
And it was a culture shock. Even though, I'm born and raised here, the school I went to is also in DC. And, it was I had to defend myself all the time. And
Yes.
I don't know if it was me, because there was this other woman that was like, maybe I was like freshman. She was probably like fourth year, maybe fifth year, because it was a 5-year program at the time. And they loved her. Like, she was a Black woman. They loved her. And so I was just like, what is it that I'm doing wrong? Like, what is
Mm.
it that, not to say that they all did it to all Black women, because that obviously wasn't the case, but it became ridiculous, right? Like, it became like every single studio, I had to go back and ask for, hey, can you review my stuff? So it was at the end of year, the school year, I was, screw this. Like, I'm not paying how much money? And I'm just a freshman. So I left that school. And this other school that I went to, I loved that school. That was the best school. And even though it was in Boston, and even though I was in Boston, and it was it was a white school, I never felt Black. I felt like my work came first. My abilities came first. So I understand what you went through. And on top of your experiences, you were like the only one. Like, that was crazy. So
It's
how'd you handle it? Like, what you just I mean, obviously you graduated, of course, but like, how did you handle being the only one?
To be real honest with you, I don't think I ever handled it. I don't think I ever got to a point where I handled it the way that I wanted to. It was more so, let me do what I need to do to get out.
Hmm.
But while I was there, I had a professor, I believe it was, because this is where the start of America's Hidden Gem, this is where ASG was created. If I'm not mistaken, December 2016, my architecture history professor, she was like, okay, well, we need to do a paper. And I decided to do my paper on Julian Abel because I was like, well, I don't get a chance to hear about Black architects, and that's a problem for me. So she came up with his name. I did research, couldn't find any of his drawings. And it really affected me to the point where I'm like, okay, so if I can't even do my paper on this one Black architect, how can I myself be a Black architect? I know it was kind of like, okay, being a little dramatic here, but it was, I needed something to look up to. I needed someone that I can imagine myself being in terms of an architect. And ironically enough, because I couldn't find his work, my professor suggested Joseph Middlebrooks. And it's alleged like he was one of the first Black architects to be licensed in the state of Florida. And I'm like, okay. So I did my paper on him, ironic. And I got a chance to actually speak with him and talk to him and interview him in his life. And that's what I did my paper on. So after doing that paper, and I actually titled it America's Hidden Gem, The Black Architect. I believe I said either a foreword or whatever, Joseph Middlebrooks. So that's what I decided to write it on. And after that paper and talking with my professor, the last day of class, she talked about African American architecture. And it was one of the most heart it was heart wrenching in the sense of you're the only Black person in this classroom. You may have some other visiting students from other disciplines, but in your class, you're the only Black one, and your professor decides on the last day of class to talk about Black architecture and how highways and byways are used to segregate towns and disrupt communities. And it was one of the most eye-opening experiences for me, and I won't ever forget her for that. I truly appreciate her for that. So that is one way I dealt with it. I started doing, well, I talked a whole lot about that, but that was one way I dealt with it, just trying to find my little outlet to get through. And that was really the start. Otherwise, I was going through a lot. Those 2 years, my mom got into an accident, so I was having to take her back and forth. So to be honest, architecture really wasn't like my end all be all. It was more so trying to stay afloat and do whatever they're asking so I can go. And ironically, I don't want to say my senior year, but my last year, I found out that my aunt was diagnosed with stomach cancer.
Oh no.
So I really was not in the mood for architecture. um, so I was in the middle of an internship doing my thesis and then finding out that news I believe I found out a month and a half before my thesis was due or before the final pinups. So it life or death, just get in, get out so you can focus on your family.
What happened to you? What happened to her?
Oh, she passed that July.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, thank you. But she's been a driving force for me because she's always, she was the life of the party and she loved life and she's impacted people in ways that I've always strived to. And I think she was the reason why I went ahead and just started Americans in the Gym, like the blog and, the whole sites that October because I needed an outlet. I needed to encourage other people because it's kind of, I'm kind of an interesting person. I rather encourage other people, even though I may need their encouragement at that time frame. Like, so I rather put my all into something else versus deal with my own emotions.
Hmm.
So it was not only an outlet for that per se, but it's it's grown to the point where I'm impacting people and helping them stay motivated and encouraged because we all don't know what everyone is going through. So just being able to feature or talk to people, I think I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. So how did you started finding people for it?
Instagram.
Oh.
So I actually started looking through the hashtag Black Architects because I was like, let me look. Like, I know my page is private, but I was like, okay, how can I do this? I was like, let me go ahead, grab my friends' info. So I started featuring my friends first and myself. And in terms of mentors, I looked up through the hashtag and I just started messaging people.
Hmm.
And the same message like to this day. And whoever bites, bites. And I
So
go from there.
do you call it UFM or UM?
UN.
University UM, right? Okay, because UFM here is University of Maryland, so I didn't know like.
Oh no, we're the U. The U.
um,
Only you.
so you're part of their alumni association, right?
Yes.
So you still, like you said before, you love the university. It was just the architecture department. You didn't really.
Correct.
Okay.
So I'm involved on the College of Engineering Alumni Association. So that is where, in terms of like, participating as an alumni, that is what I'm doing. I'm more so on the engineering side
Yeah.
because even though I was one of seven, it still applies where
Mhm.
you're still not equal, so to speak. So my goal has always been to help retain NESB members because I was the president of NESB my senior year, and I held a diversity and STEM forum as well. So I was able to talk with the president, the dean, the vice president about how can you retain African American engineers for your program? How can you keep these students here and them not going on to business or psychology or whatever? Like what can we do? What can you all do as a university to keep us here, to make us feel welcome, to make us have that community that you're sharing with the world? So me being a part of the alumni association is my way of giving it representation because I am the only African American on the board. But this year we actually have had more people join the board of directors. So I feel like I've started, I guess, a trend where now we're getting more representation. So that is what I've been doing. I haven't touched architecture yet, but I am still close with quite a few of the young women that are there on campus. So I've been serving as a big sister, a little mentor, so to speak, for them. So that's role with UM at the current moment.
So going back to growing up, how was it like? How was it like? You said South Florida. I've never. My personal experience of Florida has just been, Miami Beach and like,
That's not Miami.
yeah, you understand what I mean? Like, it's not.
That's not Miami.
So how was it growing up there? Like, how was it looking back? Like, how was your childhood? Like, how was the neighborhood that you grew up in? Like, in the lens of the grown you.
In the lens of the grown me, child. um, Growing up, I enjoyed growing up down here. I I've done everything in my power to not move. Literally done everything in my power to not leave from here. Um, I guess looking at the young me versus I guess the now me, the neighborhoods, it has become very diverse, so to speak. Of course, Miami is known for its melting pot, so we have a lot of cultures down here. In my in my neighborhood particularly, um, it was primarily white. It was a few African Americans, and now we're getting more Hispanics, and now we're getting other races or nationalities, so to speak.
Hmm.
Um, it's grown in terms of young me versus now me architecturally. I'm starting to notice how there's been a lot of gerrymandering, in my opinion, where there's been a lot of communities that have been divided, changed, and you see the dynamics of it. And I every day that I have a chance to, like, go out and drive and look around, I get more upset because I'm like, okay, the history and the culture of this community is changing. For instance, Overtown, which I actually learned from that professor at UM, the highways and the byways were put in the middle of a Black community. Now, knowing based off of my history, I know that Overtown used to be a very influential city. And the simple idea that overtowns and that highways and byways were used to disrupt the community, it makes me, well, first off, I'm disappointed. And it makes me upset because now Overtown is going through this new change where people are buying up the block, so to speak, and putting up skyscrapers.
Hmm.
And and where many people who come to visit Wynwood, Wynwood is really Overtown. Wynwood is, people say like, oh, Wynwood's on the outskirts of Overtown, but if you're from Miami, you would know that Wynwood is really Overtown. People get shot in Wynwood every day. Like, this isn't something that is cookie cutter. So for me, seeing how other communities have, come in, built up the community, but to only build it up for their community, it bothers me. So, in terms of the Miami landscape, I really hope that there can be a surge with the Black architects down here, but there also have to be opportunities for us. We can't be slighted for, different contracts, because how can you expect to make a change on a community if you're not given the opportunity to do so?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my thoughts on Miami. I love my city. Don't get me wrong. I just don't like how the Black community is being handled at the moment.
So is that the reason why? Because the first thing you said was you tried hard not to leave there.
Yes,
Is because you want to make a change? Is that like you like why do you have the is it family? Like why is it that you feel like you need to stay there?
I feel like my purpose isn't done down here. Um, because I started my nonprofit, I've I've started getting a footing in terms of working, and all again, like, all my family is here, so I I can't afford to leave just yet. But even coming from an architectural standpoint, I've always said to my mom, once I get to a financially stable place in my life and I have disposable income, this operation build, like, take back the block. Like, I want to rebuild our communities and not allow them to get in such a rut where, in my opinion, for instance, I'm digressing, but if you look in the Black community, a lot of individuals, after their mother or their grandmother passes, they're left their homes, but they don't have the financial literacy or just the education to keep the home, which forces the home to go into foreclosure, or to later on just be sold or just abandoned and be in a rut, where someone comes along and buy the home, fixes it up, either flip it or move in and stay there. And we're losing
We're losing
one
property.
right there. We're losing the family, we're losing property, we're losing the culture. So for me, with my nonprofit, I have a I have an initiative called 100 Wills, where we go out and I have volunteer attorneys come in to prepare 100 free wills for the community.
Hmm.
And in the process of doing that, they have a seminar where people are able to come ask questions and to find out how can they protect their belongings or their properties or whatever possessions that they have, so that whoever they leave behind will be able to have access to it, and their family's not fighting over a chair, for instance. It's, to me, having a will mitigates a lot of issues. So that is something that I've been working on. And that to me helps the bigger picture. In order for us to do better, we have to know better. We also have to educate us. So that is why I feel like I can't leave Miami just yet. I don't want to get to a point in my life where, okay, I could have done something, but I didn't do enough or I didn't do as much as I should have.
So growing up for me, I decided, and this is going back to education. When I was in high school, I didn't want to go to Howard, and I didn't want
Really?
to. I no, I didn't want to go to because again, like I'm from here, so everyone that I knew who were going to Howard, their parents were teachers there, or they were in some type of position where they got to go for free. And so I was
Oh,
just like, I'm not paying for Howard. Like this dude, I'm not paying for Howard. And so I purposely did not go to HBCU. In the end, I ended up graduating from HBCU. I just want to know your take on HBCUs and like how come you didn't go to FAMU, like that type of thing.
oh, because everyone and their mama go to FAMU.
Managing an architecture project in an architecture firm has lots of moving parts. After experimenting with several different programs, I realized that I needed a software that is customizable for multiple tasks. The more I talked to other firm owners, the more I realized there was a void where my firm wasn't big enough for programs like Asana, Instagram, or Trello, and not so big to spend $10,000 up front for some integrated software. I wanted a software that could do dashboard and Kanban views, Gantt charts, serve as an internet for the company, and resource loading. Then I discovered Smart Sheets for Architects. Interested in how Smart Sheets for Architects helped me? Go to www.smartsheet4architects.com and enter in ArchisPoly in the promo code to receive 10% off the course. Save yourself hours of guesswork from dealing with conflicted spreadsheets.
Well, coming from a family like my father, he graduated from Florida Memorial University. My grandmother, she graduated from Bethune-Cookman University. I believe it was BCC at that
Mhm.
time. And my mom, she graduated from UM. So I was exposed to the HBCU culture, and clearly I was exposed to UM. When I was in high school, it took everything in me to apply to PWIs. Like I told my mom, I was like, I'm not going to a PWI. Like I've had enough. Like I need to. I want to feel like I'm at home. So I was like, I'm going to an HBCU, and that's it. I applied. I got full rides. I, when I tell you, what changed the the course of me going to HBCU was the fact that I went to visit So being able to go on campus, I fell in love with the campus. I fell in love with the individuals I was there with. And that is what really made me go to because if you ask my mom today, tomorrow, where was I going? It was between Dillard, it was between Claflin, and the list goes on. I still have all of my like printouts and my scholarships that I was awarded because that's where I really wanted to go. But the thing is that a lot of those schools didn't have architectural engineering. So not only did I fall in love with they also had the major.
That
So
you wanted.
right. So that is what really made me go to It wasn't necessarily, oh, I don't want to go to a HBCU. No, that's what I planned on doing. It was just, I guess, the luck of the draw, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about more about your nonprofit. So is it separate from Hidden Gems or is it is Hidden Gems?
Oh, it's separate.
Okay.
In 2016, I started my nonprofit shortly after I graduated from undergrad that summer. So the name of it is Anais Charities. Anais is a derivative of the African name I chose during my debutante program, which means to look up to God. So, in my opinion, I feel like God put me on earth to fulfill whatever purpose He gave me. And I strongly believe that my purpose is to give back and to serve others. So, that is what I've literally been doing, serving others in every capacity possible. Something that stands out from Anais Charities from other organizations is that we are nothing goes in our pockets. So everything that we've done is through donations or is underwritten. So when you see an event, it's the people who put it on. It's not, the money isn't going in our pockets whatsoever. So I have 4 initiatives. One called Quarters for Cancer, where I collect coins and donate them to a cancer research facility. I have another one entitled Pops, Protecting Our Pals, which is for abandoned animals. Another one called Stand, which is for comforting and helping the homeless. And the last one is called Beats for Blacks in engineering, architecture, technology, and science. So I'm a little busy.
You are 24/7. How are you doing? That's what I need to ask you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. You know, it's all by the grace of the Lord, to be honest, because everything that I've gone through, everything I've done, if it wasn't for God and my family, I really don't know how I would be making it, to
And
be
then
honest.
you have a 9 to 5 too, right?
No, I actually work for myself.
Oh,
So I did
okay. Because I'm following you on LinkedIn. So okay.
updated my LinkedIn um, because I haven't really, how do I say it? After the passing of my aunt, it really became more so of I'm just going to stay to myself and I'll let people know gradually what I'm doing. So I'm actually, I would say, a freelance architectural designer. So I have a couple architecture firms that contract me to do their work, their production work. So that is what I'm doing. So I'm still, getting my hours. I'm still on the pursuit of getting my license. Um, oh, child, what else am I doing?
Are you
I'm,
gonna pursue your PE too?
I am. I'm studying for my FE exam too. So I'm studying for my FE. I'm studying for the architecture. Well, actually, I'm more so focused on just getting my hours for that right now. I'm also the president of the South Florida Professionals chapter of National Society of Black Engineers. In addition to running my nonprofit, in addition to running America's Hidden Gem, and is there anything else?
I hope not. Is there a spa day in there somewhere or?
Really, I've been trying to go to the spa for like the past 2 months, but my mom and I were like, okay, we need to take you to the spa. Like, I'm probably going next week. That's the goal. See, that was the goal. So until I make payment, that won't be, the reality. But we're gonna aim for it.
Killing it. Like, I'm tired for you.
I mean, I'm tired, but ironically, I've been saying ironic a little too much this whole interview. I don't think I'm doing enough. If,
What?
if that makes any
That makes no sense whatsoever. No
okay,
sense whatsoever.
so then I'll be quiet on that one. Okay.
I mean, if you sat down and you choose, not to say that you're not focusing on your nonprofit or you're not focusing on any other your activities, but you don't want to stretch yourself too thin. You understand what I mean? Like, and you need your own time. Like, you need to, enjoy being in that warm weather. Because here, it's 30 degrees here. I can't go outside.
Ooh,
Just, I mean, life. Like, what's your extracurriculars?
how do I have fun?
Yeah.
Um, I love to eat.
We all do.
Like
But like, do you love to cook? Is that what it is, or are you like a restaurateur? Like,
Well, I want to say a combination of all three. So I love to cook. I love to draw. I do play the violin.
Oh,
Um, what else? I play basketball, but I haven't played basketball in a little minute. I actually need to get out there and get some sun. And yeah, like I'm a very low key individual. I like to, stay in my little bubble, stay in my room.
you're a homebody.
I am truly a homebody. Now, if someone is having a party, it's most likely a birthday party because I don't go out like that, and which is crazy because people are like, "Oh, you're in Miami. You can going out every weekend," and I'm like, "No."
Mm-mm, mm-mm. Just because you're from there doesn't mean that you're
And I know what's really going on down here. No,
exactly. You like,
y'all,
I ain't going over there. I know exactly what's going to happen.
you're like, y'all just visit. Y'all don't.
Exactly.
Okay, I know I to be here where not to be, and that is not it. Um, so yes, I'm a homebody, and I play with my dogs. Like it's, but really, I do love to eat and I love to draw. Like those are my top two.
Okay. I just don't want you to get burned out because I'm burnt out. Like, and I've
Oh,
done. And not to say that I have as much as your on your plate. I think at one point I did, and I'm too through. I sizzled, and it's hard to recover from a burnout. It really is. Like it because it's you just, and not to say that you become um
I was despondent.
just like a, Netflix becomes your friend. You understand what I mean? Like you just want to zone out and get away from the world, and then you end up doing it for like a month, 2 months, 6 months, and life is moving by,
Right.
and you're just like, I'm just not. I can't. You don't want to sit in front of the computer unless you have to. You don't want to. You don't want to read anything related to what you're supposed to be doing. It's really like I suffer from it so bad, like to a point where I'm like, I need a therapist to talk about this.
I probably
Um,
I understand. Trust me.
just when that feeling comes, then just focus on fine tuning what you already have going on, right? Like how can you step up what you already have? How can you take that to another level versus creating something new? Because when you create something new, it's your baby, and then you have to treat it like a baby. So you have to tend to it and focus on it, and then while that's happening, you have all this other stuff happening in the background, and then you're just going crazy because then this and that and this and that. So get your
Take
nails done every once in a while, or
I need to go get them done. It's been a minute.
so. How can I help you besides this? Besides putting you out into the world.
Ooh, you know that's what you're really doing. This is actually a big help. I went from well, I'm an only child, so I don't necessarily like to talk to people unless I know them. So you're helping me right now because this is real. How can I say it? It's taking me out of my comfort zone.
Well, I'm honored that you agreed. Like, I was like, I don't know you, and I'm gonna try this out and ask. Because so far, it's been people that I know, or at least people that I've corresponded on Twitter or Facebook. Like, you're like the first person that I've reached out to and say, "Hey, can I interview you
So touched.
on the podcast?"
Oh my gosh, I'm so touched.
Because I'm like, I have no idea who you are. I have no idea your personality. I don't know like what to say, how to say it. Like there's no only thing I have is your LinkedIn profile. And that's my only soft stock. I didn't do a hard stock you. Like I didn't like hide in your bushes or anything. So it was kind of like, okay, she seems cool, I guess.
Okay, thank you. I mean, once clearly, I think you're able to tell. I do like to have fun. I mean, I talk a lot. Um, I mean, I guess how can I say this? I mean, I'm a very easygoing person. I don't want to put myself out there on like a pedestal and say like I'm a really dope person, but I really am.
No, you are. Because I only talk to dope people. Hope you know that. Like I only talk to
Why, thank you. Why,
super
thank you.
dope people. So
So, but yeah,
because I was like, how can I not know you exist? Like, there's a lot of other African American women out there, and that's like doing their thing and doing their thing in architecture. Like it's I'm blown away. Like I slowly came out of my hole, and then there's this plethora of organizations and nonprofits and just platforms out there that I'm like, wow, I didn't know I'm blown away right now. Like 2020, I don't know, people had their bucket list and they just like, I'm going to do it this year. Not to say that,
right.
but it just seems like this year, it's like people like whatever project that they were doing, they decided to take it to another level this year. So it's like, it's so many, and I'm shocked, and I'm like, you know what? We all need to not. It would be great if we all can get together, but that's like impossible. But at least I can create a platform where you can find out about everybody. Like, I have people, there's folks in Detroit that's doing their thing. And now there's people like you who is doing their thing in Florida. So it's like it's regional, and it's about to be national and hopefully global. So
I mean, if you have a moment, because to me, the ultimate goal is for us to come together as a community so that we can change the world. It's not about me. Just like everyone I feature, like if you have something going on, I don't have a problem showcasing you. I don't have a problem showcasing what you're doing, because that's the issue. A lot of times our people are like crabs in a bucket, and it's like I can't get farther unless I push you back. But we're in a new day and age where there's space for all of us to grow.
that's the thing. And that's a beautiful thing. Like, and I know for the women that I've been talking to, like they that's all they want. Like everybody wants to get together, everybody wants to help propel each other forward. It's a very positive, uplifting space. Like, female architects, Black women architects, like I have yet to meet one that's like, no, leave me alone.
I just need us to continue to do it, like within our different niches. Because as soon as you said, "Oh, I want you on my podcast," well, guess what? I want you on my IG.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
you
you
didn't.
did say that. You did say that. And yeah, okay, yeah, of course.
So it's to me, it's just a matter of like just all of us growing together
Mm-hmm.
to like I said before. I feel like my purpose is to give back, to serve, and to make an impact. Like that is really it. It's not about me, but if I can help somebody else get forward, then my job is done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is anyone helping you at all? Or is this all on you?
America's Hidden Gem, the blog interviews, they're all on me. The podcast, I do have a new friend who is, well, he's the one that actually came to me and was like, "Hey, can we collaborate on something?" And I'm like, "Sure." And he's like, "How about we do a podcast?" And I'm like, "Oh, snap. I want to do one, but I've always was like, I don't like the sound of my voice." But he was like, okay, I don't care, but we're going to make this happen. I'm like, bet. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll do it. So his name is Kemet Floyd, and he's, I guess we're co-hosts on America's Hidden Gem, the podcast.
All right. Well, let me know when it launches, and I will promote you. Are you on besides LinkedIn? Are you on
Instagram.
Instagram? How about Twitter?
Okay, to be politically correct, I am. I just don't have it out there.
Okay. All right.
But you could get me on there.
I mean, I will personally follow you, but you are on Architecture is Political podcast. It's just to let you know. So everything is Architecture is Political. You should. So Hidden Gems doesn't have its own feed.
Oh yeah, America's Hidden Gem on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. What else? The podcast is on Instagram, AHG, the podcast.
How about your nonprofit?
Oh, A Nice Charities, ANAIYS Charities. That's about to take a brand new look because, because I don't think I told you, but I lost my aunt in July. And last year, I lost my grandfather in January and my godfather in March.
Oh my.
So, so that within like an 8-month time span, I literally was grieving.
Yeah. Oh my
And
God.
then after that, it was just like, forget 2019. Like, I'm kind of just like not in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now, since 2020 is here, everything is taking a brand new look. So be ready or get ready.
Okay.
And the website is anicecharities.org.
Have you been to Noma?
No. So I guess a quick story on that real quick. I wanted to start a NOMA chapter at UM, but I didn't have enough people to start. So when I graduated, ironically, and after starting America's Hidden Gym, I was approached on LinkedIn to come to a NOMA meeting. And I was like, okay, because they just recently rechartered. And I am now a part of the South Florida NOMA chapter.
Oh, right.
Let's hope that I will make my first NOMA convention in 2020.
All right. Well, they're in Oakland, so.
I never been on a plane, so.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What? No. We got to
Yes.
get you on a plane. Nah, man. Nah. Not even like if you need to go to Jacksonville, you just drive up? Like what?
No, that's what the train is for. Now, mind you, I've traveled. I've been to DC. I've been to Ohio. I've been to the Carolinas.
By what?
Car or train.
You have something against flying, or you just
I mean,
have?
my family hasn't been on the plane since I've been alive, at least. So it's just kind of been like, okay, one of these days I'll get on the plane. So
Nah, nah, you got to get on a plane. Nah, you got now you got to go to Oakland. Now, since you said all that, you just have to go.
I feel like I was just voluntold. So the best thing I can.
Be like not like I have money to send you, but what I'm just I think I always encourage people who have never been to a NOMA conference, go to a NOMA conference because it's family. Like it is family. I haven't been in like a couple of years, only because I've been more into AIA than I was with NOMA for a little bit, and then I was like more involved with NOMA than with AIA. So I go back and forth. And then these past 2 years, I've been like anti-organization, period. Now it's like I'm slowly getting back into, and that was part of my burnt out. Like I was involved in DC NOMA chapter for a little bit, and then I was like, okay, I need to stop. And then I was involved in AIA for a while, and then I was like, okay, I just need to stop and just not do anything and focus on me. So now I've been like slowly getting back into both organizations. Like I haven't attended any chapter meetings on either end, but I've been talking and I'm about to pay some dues, so that's me being proactive again. But attending a NOMA conference is like I said before, it's a family reunion. They love you, they hug you. We all like it's love. It's love all the way around. And their conferences are the bomb. Like you will learn so much. You will meet so much. They had 2019 was in Brooklyn, and I'm so mad that I didn't make it because
I was believe the hype.
I should have been there. And I had plenty of opportunities to go, like even for a night, like just to go for a day, and I didn't take it, and I'm kicking myself for it. And now Oakland, That's across country. At least with Brooklyn, I could have drove up, but now it's like, ugh, ugh, it's money. But yeah, you really you need to go. You really need to go. And I mean, you've been involved in Nesby, so I mean, you've been a Nesby conference, right?
Ha 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 ha.
What?
Okay. So wow. Yeah, you really are learning my whole life story today. As long as I've been involved with NESB, I've been involved with NESB since my freshman year of undergrad. I was on the board all undergrad. I didn't make it to my first fall regional conference until this past year. And the reason being is that fall regional conference always fell during homecoming. And I was like, I don't want to miss my homecoming. So I never went. And then when National Convention came by, it was always something going on campus, or I had to um, go do something like with my sorority for that conference because I was the only member in my chapter. So it was just like, bruh, this is tiring. So this year coming up, I will most likely be at convention. I'm not going to San Antonio, but I'll most likely be at Orlando next year. We're working. We're
Yeah, I
working on.
see that. I see that. I see that. You are working on it.
I have to collect my little coins.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I deeply understand. Attending conferences is not cheap at all. Like you got to get there. You may have to stay in a hotel, and then there's a conference fee in itself. So trust, I know that it's a pretty penny.
And you're out here working for yourself. All your little coins are allocated.
Yeah, do different things, and that's another thing. On the bright
But
side, though, you don't need permission to get off work.
you already know.
How did you? Quick question though, how were you able to maneuver working for yourself?
I feel like for me, I've had to create an opportunity out of thin air. So the way that I tried to maneuver this entire process was I did work for an architect at one point, but he wasn't able to sustain me working for him because he didn't have products coming in like super fast. So when I no longer worked for him, it was a matter of just grinding, to be honest. Like, in order for you to get somewhere, you got to do something you haven't done before. So I was applying to jobs on LinkedIn. I was going to interviews. I was working like contractually for a couple firms. And when I noticed that it wasn't a good fit, I said, okay, well, I'm not going to work for them. So it wasn't until one of my mentors was like, hey, I have someone who needs drafting services. Are you free to do it? And I was like, wow, this is God. This is literally God sent. And since that moment, I've been able to work for myself. And ironically enough, someone posted on LinkedIn that they needed another person to work for them. And I'm got that architecture firm under my belt as well. So it's just a matter of just creating those connections, having mentors that can put you in those positions. And honestly, it's the hustle
Mm.
because after reading, I think it was NCAR saying that it took like 12 or 14 years at one point to get your license. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And plus, I started late because I didn't have an architecture internship until after I graduated. It was like I'm behind the ball. Like I could have had hours, I could have started testing, but I wasn't privy to that information. So now, in order for me to achieve my goals, I just need to hustle and work for them. So that's how I've been maneuvering all of this.
Mm. Back to your it's a nonprofit, correct?
Yes.
Calling it nonprofit. I just want to make sure. Um, how did you set that up
I set it up as
as a
in,
nonprofit?
oh, well, I had my mom assist me with that. Shout out to my mama. I love you dearly. She helped me set up my nonprofit, like structurally, legally, all
Okay.
that.
Okay. Was it complicated?
I I'm gonna say no
Okay.
because she's very familiar with that.
Okay.
So that's her area of expertise.
Okay.
Um, and trademarks and copyrights and
Mm-hmm.
all that good stuff. That's mama.
Yes, Mom. All right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you talking to me.
Thank you for inviting me. I am truly touched and honored, being that this is the first podcast that I am on. So you are just, you have all the stars right now.
I do. I really do.
So just like I'm very honored because I had a chance to stalk you just a little bit. And I was like, wow, she's interviewed some people I featured that are making like, a name within themselves. And it took a lot for me to, I guess, feel like I'm a part of the architecture community, being that I have an engineering background. So I'm just like, wow, someone wants to hear me talk. I am so honored. And you are really helping me feel like I'm included.
Well, now you're just about to get bombarded with all types of people now. So I'm gonna let everybody know about you.
Oh, well, thank you.
So
I am
be
honored.
be ready.
But before you get off, please, 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 whoever is listening, stay tuned for America's Hidden Gem, the summit.
Woo!
Just want to throw that out there.
I'm excited.
Coming June 2020.
All right, enjoy your day.
You too.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Hey, listeners! I have an exciting announcement. I decided to launch a membership program for the show, where you have a chance to support me and the show directly. I love creating the show, and it means the world to me that you all tune in to keep hearing me week after week. But it takes an immense amount of time and energy to produce. I want to keep the show going, and I want to invest in its growth. And I also want you to become a partner with me in this journey. That's why I'm excited to give you a chance to officially become a supporter of the show at glow.fm/archispolly, ARCHISPOLLY, or by clicking the link in the show notes. It's quick and easy. It takes less than 30 seconds and just takes clicking a link in the show notes and using Apple or Google Pay. You don't have to create any new logins, and you can contribute as much or as little as you like. If this show is part of your day or week, and you like what I'm doing, then visit glow.fm/archispolly, all one word, and support me and the show in any way you can today.